Sorry I haven't done a video in a long time, guys. I've been in Seoul in South Korea with my family. Fantastic place, highly recommend it. But in this episode, I'll be going through June 2023 property deals. I'll take you through 8 deals that clients have bought, and the whole intention is as I go through the deals, I'll show you the pictures, but also the key features of the property, why that we've bought in that suburb, why we've bought those properties. So if you're trying to find investment properties right now, you can then say, okay, I can take that from that property, I can take that from that deal. I can actually learn, because you can't be what you can't see. And that way you can use this information to get much better property investments for yourself. Education is inoculation, so this will bring you a ton of real life value. My name is PK and I help people build passive income through the Property Investment Accelerator using data without needing to drop $15,000 on a buyer's agent every single time. This channel, we talk about property, the economy, and financial happiness. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. Let's go. So to start with, all of these deals have been posted in June in my Facebook group right here. There's 34,000 people as of now in this group. So they're all verified. All the clients have been tagged. I have more social proof than any other person. I know there's like tens of thousands of property people in Australia. I have more social proof than anyone, because every 2 days for years, I've been posting a deal and I've tagged the client in it. So you can literally go back and talk to like more than 1,000 clients if you join this Facebook group, Australian Property Mastery with PK, and engage with them. So they're all verified, and these aren't just like the best deals, okay? These are just a random selection of recent deals. Deal 1 of 8. This first one, 8.4% yield, positive cash flow property, even with higher interest rates. So like, let's be honest, interest rates are high, right? You're probably paying what, 6% or thereabouts. Even at that high interest rates, you can still get positive cash flow property so long as you add value. And that's exactly what Tao Boy's done. I've actually done like a half an hour interview with Tao. So I really encourage you to check that out to see how she's actually achieved that. But she's bought this in a pocket of Perth that really uneducated buyers agents don't buy. So what do I mean by that? Most buyers agents these days are just following each other. You want to break out of that herd and actually let data do the talking for itself, by itself. Let it be cold, hard objectivity as opposed to just following the masses, like what most buyers agents are doing. This is a brick and tile property. So what's good about that? Brick and tile is generally lower maintenance and it's at the bottom of its growth cycle. So a lot of people are like, hey, you know, we've just experienced such a big property boom in Australia. How can any place be at the bottom of its cycle? Well, this suburb and many in Perth, so long as the data is suggesting that they'll go up in the short and long term, are actually the same price or similar price than they were 5 years ago or 10 years ago. That's not a bad thing. In property, past performance does not mean that future performance is guaranteed. In fact, that relationship is actually quite inverse. I've done a whole episode on proving that using data as well. You can go check that. I think it's called Property Truths. But this is right at the bottom of its cycle. And what she's done, interstate, mind you, she lives in Melbourne. She's done a $12,000 renovation, and that is manufactured equity, and that is manufactured this 8.4% yield. Okay, so it's not a huge renovation, $12,000, just cosmetic, and that's meant she's able to have a positive cash flow property even in this environment. Okay, now she's bought three times without a buyer's agent. That means she's saved $45,000 in buyer's agent fee. Like, she wouldn't be able to buy this property had she gone with buyer's agents. Like I said, there's Tao right there. Amazing woman. Purchase price $342,000. Total funds required $70,000. Rent is $550. The short and long-term growth factors are fantastic. I've gone through these many times before. But even something like, you know, incomes, you know, people just look at the absolute incomes of a suburb and say, oh, is that good, bad, or indifferent? What you want to see is relativity. Relativity against the city, hopefully. Relativity definitely against the state. And you want to see how those incomes are changing over a 5-10 year period versus the relative performance of the state. And if the suburb is beating the state, then you know that suburb is gentrifying. So like this, there's actually like quite complex data factors that you need to consider that most people have no idea about. And if you can find a suburb that actually matches them, then that's a really good thing. Vacancy, 0.56%, really low. Brick, like I said before, block size, really good. 759, you want to try keep above that 500, 550 square type in Perth for block size. She's bought interstate from, this actually says Sydney, it should say Melbourne, apologies, in Perth. And she hasn't caught a single flight. Like, all the due diligence and renovation was done and managed for her by the property manager. Sure, she had to get a few quotes and compare it. You know, the property manager would bring some quotes. You could go on high pages, but all the scheduling, all the like managing of the tradies was done by the property manager, and the initial inspection was done the property manager and building and pest inspector. So she's been completely confident in this, completely interstate, without ever actually seeing the property. And she's self-sufficient, as she's demonstrated, because she's bought 3 now, to just rinse and repeat. And she's actually genuinely building passive income. This is the property right here, and you can see that from the outside it looks really, quite nice, and on the inside it's just magnificent because it's been recently renovated. Property number 2, 4 properties in the last 2 years. The latest is a 6.5% yield beauty with a granny flat option in a booming suburb. Let's break this down. So bought the typical property, has will, $59,000 under suburb median. Now, this doesn't mean it's a discount of $59,000, but what this is meaning is that you want to buy properties under the 50th percentile of a suburb. You don't want to buy the best property or even the 75th percentile property in a suburb. You want to buy something around average or just less than average. And that means that that valuations are much more easier to go up, because more expensive comparable sales pull lower properties up. There's many more superior properties in the suburb that are selling for much more than inferior properties, and that tends to have a drag up effect of your own valuation, and the value is eyes. New carpet and roof restoration done. Now, I just pick on this point real quick. Roofs are something that if you're buying a 20, 30, maybe 40, 50-year-old property, roofs definitely need some work at some point. So you want to try buy a property where the roof has been restored, renovated, or, patched up in a really good, solid way, so that you're not having to foot the bill as a property investor as soon as you buy the property. And like I said in this, I'm actually genuinely proud to have witnessed Will, his property journey over the last 1 or 2 years. Will Huang here, he's tagged, you can DM him, he's a terrific bloke. He was actually, he called me one day, I think 2 or 3 years ago. He was going to buy like this really expensive property in Sydney, and no doubt it would have gone up a little bit. Well, it would have gone up a lot and then come down a lot as well, net a little bit, and it would have cost him $20,000 a year to hold. And I tried to convince him, Will, don't do that. Instead, buy affordable properties with a high cash flow. It was really hard to convince him, some just random guy off YouTube. But he came to my group meetup, my Facebook group meetup in Sydney, and, kind of built trust because he saw me in person. And the rest is history. 4 properties, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars of equity, and also passive income. It's just a great story. This one's $441,000. Total funds was $80,000. Rent is $550. Great data, great vacancy. Everything is fantastic. Once again, this one is in Perth from Sydney. And like I said before, there's just so much information online. It's really easy to make mistakes. But what doesn't lie, I could lie, you could lie, your colleagues, your friends, your family could lie. What doesn't lie is data. So if you learn to rely not just on me or not on anyone else, but on data, that is true inoculation for mistakes. And here's the property. I love it how the real estate agent takes these pictures with like flowering trees in the foreground, but really beautiful type of property. Number 3, let's go through quickly. Bought 2 properties at the same time in WA and Queensland. 6.6% yield on this latest one in a huge 807 square meter block. So you can buy multiple properties at the same time by yourself interstate without a buyer's agent. It is not hard. Like, this is the proof in the pudding. Like, if you can do it twice simultaneously, then there's got to be something in it. It mustn't be that hard. It must not be rocket science. This one was actually cherry on the cake off market. It wasn't even listed on Real Estate and Domain. And Adam, terrific guy as he is, he's just like a normal person. He's not some property quote unquote expert, and he's able to build these relationships with local agents real quick, like interstate real quick, just within 1 or 2 weeks without much time spent. So anyone can do it. If you're considering using a buyer's agent because they have those secret relationships and secret listings that no one else talks about or has access to, then you got to really think twice about, are you really doing it for the right reason, or are you getting scammed? Okay, Beautiful interior and exterior on this property. Like I said, he's bought twice now. That means he's saved $30,000 in buyer's agent fees. Really inexpensive property. Cheap doesn't mean bad though in real estate. $315,000, needed less than $60,000 to get in. Rent is $400. Huge block, like I said before. And he's bought this one in Queensland from down south. And data and mentoring can really accelerate your property journey. I don't really care if you want to be mentored by me or not. Like, there's so many people like there to take your money. Just choose a mentor that you vibe with, that you can connect with, that has good character, actually cares, is competent. And that combined with true data, not just random scores online, but true data, multi-layered, multifaceted, multi-dimensional data, that is what it's going to get you to exiting your 9 to 5 through real estate. And this is just a really classic Queensland property, high set. You go up the stairs, down the bottom is like a rumpus. It may not be legal height. There's a garage there as well. But when you do go upstairs, it's a beautiful property. Very common in Queensland. Number 4, 6.5% yield, fully renovated Queensland property. Once again, it's the bottom of its growth cycle. This is actually Vinayak's 4th property. So that portfolio is scaling. Yes, you can scale a property portfolio even in 2023. It's not too late. Of course, better to have started 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, maybe 25 years ago, but yeah, it's never too late. Low maintenance is really nothing for him to do in this 422, 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, 2-garage property. He's tagged here, fantastic bloke if you want to reach out to him. $370,000, $70,000 to get in. Rent is $416. He's bought this in Queensland from Sydney. And look, the science of property investing is learnable, just like Vinayak has proven here with this property. Okay, it's learnable. Anyone can learn it. It's not like one of those things that requires some fancy degree, or even like a TAFE course, like an electrician or an engineer at a university degree. Anyone can do it. There's no hurdle. There's no like complex technology or skill set hurdle to be able to become a proficient property investor. Anyone can do it. And a quick tip as well, like you want to buy properties like this where the kitchen is open plan. Back in the day, people liked kitchens to be kind of cornered off in a separate room. Try to find a property where the kitchen is open plan, and therefore the valuers and also the renters will be much more inclined to be appealed, or that will be more appealing to them, because that's the kind of lifestyle that people live these days. Or if you can, a little bit more advanced, if it is a closed off kitchen, you can cut the wall, you can break down the wall, bit of structural renovation that might cost you $30,000, maybe $35,000 all up. It may not add a huge amount of value to the property instantly, but if you do it really nicely over the long term, that just opens the property up, and many more people will have appeal to it, both renters and future owner occupiers. So that's a great way to open up a property and add a bit of value. The 5th property, 6.2% yield, off-market Queensland stunner with new roof and kitchen. Always look for kitchens, bathrooms and roofs. These are the areas that often require the biggest renovations to properties. Roofs add no value. Even if you get a shoddy roof and you add, make it better, no one really cares. Okay, it's not going to add value, but the kitchen and bathroom will. So try to do something to it, or try to find a property that already has that done to it if you don't want to, do any type of renovation. No need for buyer's agents to build local connections. Again, for this one, even though it's off market, that means it's not listed. And some people ask, why would someone sell a property without listing it? Surely they get a better price if they actually put it on domain, would they actually put it on realestate.com. Some people are just private, like they don't want people knowing they're selling their property. They don't want random strangers walking through their house like every 2 days. There might be other reasons, like that might be a bit embarrassing. They might have to sell because of financial reasons or divorce or death, or there's a plethora of reasons why people like to be a bit more secretive, just get a fast sale. And that's the opportunity for us investors. If you know what we're doing, we see the world of property as a matrix. We can instantly see, oh, that's an anomaly, that's a good deal, we just go in and get that. Okay, and he's buying again. Nathan is Mohanan, I should say. He's once again terrific fellow, as all my clients are really. He's just so confident. He's just buying again and again and again. You don't need to buy new property, to have all the benefits of buying a new property. The downsides of buying a new property are, of course, that they generally don't grow as well, because you're buying mostly the building, not the land. Land appreciates, buildings depreciate. But you buy a property like this one, where all the features are as new because it's been renovated, and then you get the best of both worlds. So buy established properties, but something that's low maintenance like this with a high tenant appeal. $420,000 to get in, $75,000 is what the capital required was. Rent is $500. Everything else, as you can see, block size, vacancy rate 0.75%, great data, etc., etc. Don't risk giving the keys to your financial future to anyone else. Like, you might think that I'm biased, but honestly speaking, if you're becoming dependent on some property company, I don't care who they are, generally the bigger, the more reputable that they seem, actually the more kind of sketchy it is behind the scenes, because they're just churning and burning through clients. But don't become dependent on any company. Don't even become dependent on me. My course clients aren't dependent on me either. They learn to be self-sufficient. Of course, I'm there to help them, but just try to actually be self-sufficient. That is an incredible feeling, because at some point, if you're just depending on others again and again and again, you'll trip up, because no one cares about your money as much as you do. Here's the property here. Like I said, it's as good as new, but you get the best of both worlds. A really, really solid interior and fantastic brick exterior. Here's the next one. Beautifully designed 6.4% yield house in Perth's most iconic shortage suburb. So this is in the sort of just kind of close to the Rockingham area, not kind of those traditional Waikiki, Warnbro type suburbs, but this is literally where there's the lowest supply in Perth right now. 2 properties in 12 months for Daniel Mauser. He's actually, I know I've been saying this about everyone, but he's genuinely a really nice fellow. So if you DM him, like, he will genuinely help you, unless too many of you do that right now. 2004 built, so you can actually get depreciation benefits, tax benefits on existing properties. People don't know that. They think you need to buy a brand new property. You don't. You can buy established properties and get tax depreciation, but that's only a bonus. We're never buying just for tax. Anyone who is trying to sell you something just because of the tax benefits, is it really worth it to lose $1 to get 50 cents back in tax? Oh, you got to think about that. Think about that. You might be a higher income earner. You're being lured into that false sense of like attractiveness by a property company. Just think about that. Do you want to lose money to save half of it in tax? But it is a bonus for cash flow reasons. And he actually ditched his buyer's agent. I've done an interview with him as well when he first bought his property, his first one, that is, like maybe a year or ago. And he shared how he ditched his buyer's agent because he wasn't doing a good job, and he's never looked back since, because he's learnt to do it himself. He's bought twice now without a buyer's agent, $30,000 saved. This property is $388,000. Total funds required $65,000. Rent per week is $480. Everything else is fantastic. And like I say, he didn't pay a buyer's agent to send him properties of real estate in domain. Like, why are you paying someone $15,000, which, on a pre-tax basis is, I don't know, $25,000, $30,000. That's maybe like a quarter, a third, 20% of your salary. You're just paying someone just to send properties of domain and real estate. You can do that yourself if you know what you're looking for, if you know where to look. It's not that hard, okay? So this is the property which he's done himself. And I should also say, just because it's a single car garage, I get this question a lot, do we need to go for double car garage or single? Single is just fine, so long as that is a common type of dwelling in that suburb. If in that suburb all car garages are double, then you want to go for a double. And that's because you want to play to the average, the predominant type of demographic in that suburb. If the average type of demographic's fine with one car, as evidenced by a vast amount of properties, then one car is fine. Don't be a hero, just try to find the average type of property. Okay, number 7, 7% yield, high cash flow property under $400,000. And this is actually Ram Raj's first investment property. So even if it's just your first and you're quivering, you're like shaking, you're like, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't know what Perth looks like. I don't know what Queensland looks like. I don't know what SA looks like. I don't even know what to do. Like, this is all too hard. Guys, I just want to say anyone can do that. Did you know that to achieve anything in life, you need to start with an idea? Okay, once you have an idea, okay, I'm going to achieve financial independence, that gives you a 10% probability for success. How do we improve that probability for success? If you then decide, you commit in your mind that I am going to achieve financial independence, financial happiness. It's not just an idea, but it's a firm resolve. studies have shown that probability for success goes up from 10% to 40%. That's a 30% delta. You really need to, like, it's an uncompromising commitment. I am going to do it. And then when you actually create that idea and that commitment, you transform it and you evolve it into a concrete plan, that probability for success goes from 40% to 60%. So it's like, I'm going to achieve financial independence and I'm going to go through property as the predominant vehicle to achieve it. And I'm going to develop a plan. And here is the plan. Like, I've built it. I know how to do it. I have enough education. Education is inoculation. That probability for success goes up to 60. And how to get that 60 up to 100%, that's when you get an accountability partner. It doesn't have to be me. I don't care who it is, a family member, a parent, a friend, a cousin, a colleague, a child, like maybe one of your children if they're a little bit grown up. If you actually tell them that, yes, I'm going to do that, and you actually commit externally, so someone else is going to keep asking you, are you there, are you there, are you there? Then that probability for success goes from 60% beyond 90%. So that's just like psychology. That's just how positive psychology works. So if you think about where you are, right? If you're like right at the start, you're like, okay, I'm going to investing in property, but I've made that firm resolve, but I don't have a plan, and you're just watching endless content, maybe even mine, not actually doing anything. You're just stuck at that 40% mark. You actually need to build a plan. You can do that with me, you can do that with others, you can do it with yourself, but make sure you build a plan, go from 40 to 60%, and then you actually need to get the like-minded people around you that hold you to account. That's important, the community. And that's exactly what Ram Raj has done. He's bought in this area which is at the bottom of its 10-year growth cycle, of fully renovated foundational property that's not going to cause any headache. And he's bought this for $350,000. Total funds required 70. So all he had was like 70 in the bank, right? That's all he needed. It's not like he started off with 300,000, $1 million on a salary of $500,000. No, it's just like your average sort of person, right? 0.52% vacancy rate, block size, 660s, bought in Queensland. From Sydney without catching any flights, and he hasn't been suckered into like paying a buyer's agent, for one of their courses. Every buyer's agent's following me these days. Like, let's be honest, I think there's like 4,000 buyer's agents out there. There's like hundreds of them coming out with these dime a dozen, $100, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 courses, because I've seen how successful I've been, right? Both for myself and more importantly for clients. And so that's what they're doing. But what they're doing in a different way. They're teaching you a little bit about what to do, but never why and never how. And so you get a bit of a taster from their course after outlaying a lot of money, and then you're just stuck anyway without the confidence or the knowledge to actually implement. And then you kind of suck it into their full service, and they're like, oh, well, you've done our course, you've built some trust in us, why don't we help you here? You need to pay us $15,000. Guys, that is not what you should be doing. Don't fall for that bait and switch method, right? And here's the property from Ram Raj. Really, really, really nice property. I don't know if that grass is new, but that's a tactic that sales agents, real estate agents use. Sometimes they Photoshop really nice grass in, so that might not be real grass. So just be careful when you're looking at listings. That's why it's important to get a property manager in. But nonetheless, it's a really nice property. And last one, absolutely beautiful brick home and premium suburb. Pocket 14 kilometers from Perth CBD. So this is not far. Like, this is the amazing opportunity that Perth still provides. And I don't care if you're bearish or bullish on Perth. I'm just here to educate you, do what you want. But where else in a big capital city can you buy less than 15 kilometers for under $600,000? Okay, so he actually beat Eric did. Here he is tagged, terrific guy as well. He actually beat a buyer's agent to win this deal, not by outbidding that buyer's agent, but by having better terms. He actually understood the rationale of why the seller was selling better than the buyer's agent. He broke down that wall of information asymmetry and he was able to get a better deal than the buyer's agent. He beat the buyer's agent, all right, just by manufacturing a little bit of intelligence or intuitiveness, or you could say innovation in the terms, when to settle, the finance clause, the deposit amount. And there's no work to be done on this property. It's perfect as is, and it's really the best spot in the suburb, and it's growing fast. Don't try to buy, like the best property on the worst street or the worst property on the best street. You just want to buy in one of the better areas of the suburb, and just really a typical average type of property there. So he's bought this for $556,000, needed less than $120,000 to buy it. Rent is $600. Really good data, 0.29% vacancy, 680 is the block size. You can see he's bought this in Perth, brick property from the East Coast, and catch a single flight. Had all the due diligence done for him. And truly speaking, he is self-sufficient to rinse and repeat. And the reason I can say that with so much confidence is that actually he's become a buyer's agent. So it's like, well, PK, why are you talking about that for? So against the buyer's agent. I'm against crappy buyer's agents, but I myself have trained more than 75 buyer's agents now over the years. And like, hand on heart, I think I'm confident that the people who I've trained are ethical, are competent, and actually are caring people, just like Eric. So this is not a plug. He's honestly speaking, he's not paid me a cent to say this, but if you must use a buyer's agent, if you don't even have 3 hours a week, 3 to 4, maybe 4.5 hours a week over 1 or 2 months, if you don't have that amount of time, then you need a buyer's agent. Then don't come to me. Then go to at least one of my students. You don't have to tell me about it. I don't get kickbacks or anything like that, but at least use good buyer's agents, right? And here's the property. What to say about it? I mean, brick is always nice. We're not against weatherboard, but brick is obviously a little bit lower maintenance. And inside, it's really nice. I think these are real floorboards. They're polished. Obviously, in an investment property for myself, I would try to avoid like floorboards or any high maintenance items, but it does look really nice, and it does command a little bit of a premium in terms of rent. So those were 8 properties that really constitute success. Why do I know that? Because that is not the first 8 properties that my clients have bought. They've bought more than 2,500 properties over the years just like this, and they've gone up consistently, providing good cash flow. Always remember, ideation without execution is really delusion. So I just keep emphasizing, maybe don't think about, oh, hey, should I do his course? Or maybe don't think about, how do I get to 100K passive income? Maybe don't even think about, how do I get my first investment property? Just think about, what is the next step? Okay, the next step might be just picking up the phone and calling a mortgage broker to see how much you can borrow. The next step might just be joining a Facebook group like mine to ask questions like, how do I find a mortgage broker, a good broker? The next step might just be, oh, hey, what is this strategy, right? Just take the next step. Don't be caught in this vortex, this whirlpool of inaction, because that's not going to serve you, and it's not going to serve me. Guys, to really level up, I'll leave links below to my Facebook group, Australian Property Mastery with PK, with 34,000 amazing members, and also to my podcast on Google, iTunes, and Spotify, Australian Property Mastery with PK. More than 100 episodes that will really infuse you with like quite clinical, data-driven insights, not fluff, not BS, so that you can actually do this. You can do this. You can do property investing. I'm proud to say that all my clients are doing terrifically, and you can too, with or without me. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. See ya.